So hello everybody, welcome back to the woodland. It's turned out to be a really glorious day considering how misty it was here this morning. So stayed over here last night with my daughter and a friend, and they've been picked up and gone home now. So I thought I'd talk about buying the woodland on a mortgage. So just to get it out of the way with right from the very beginning, would I recommend buying a woodland on a mortgage? And the answer is a flat out no. We did it because we were desperate. We really wanted a woodland, but we just didn't have the cash available to buy it outright. So if you can and have the ability to, save up the cash. But if you can't, buying on a mortgage is an option, as it was for us. So the first thing that we did was we went looking around all of the agents. So you've got Woodlands, Woods for Sale, and another one based up in Scotland, I think it is. So we went trekking around trying to find a plot that was relatively close to us, and we found this one, and one just down the road as well. But we decided on this one. So the first process was the first part of the process was once we decided that we wanted to buy this woodland, we had to go and get a mortgage in principle. Finding somebody who does mortgages for woodlands was difficult. We only found one company that did it, and that was Ecology. They are very strict on their lending criteria. Had we done this for recreational purposes, they probably would have said no. But I didn't buy this woodland just for recreational purposes. My main the forefront in my mind is I wanted to buy this woodland for wildlife conservation and to be a legacy for my family. So when we went through the mortgage in principle process with him, you have to specify why are you buying the woodland. So like I say, we said that we was doing this for conservation purposes. Then it was just basically the same as how to get a mortgage in principle for a normal residential property. So you go through your incomings, you go through your outgoings, how old you are, so on and so forth. And at the end of the process, they'll give you a yes or no. And thankfully for us, they gave us a yes. So once we had the mortgage in principle certificate come through, we then went to woodsforsale.co.uk, who were the agent for this particular woodland, and we said with them you have to give proof that you've been to the woods and that you have the funds available in order to buy the woodland. So for us it was a case of sending a picture of a local landmark and attaching a copy of the mortgage in principle plus a screenshot of our savings account to show that we also had the deposit available for the mortgage as well. So that was our proof then that we had the money available to buy the woodland. They then came back to us and said, brilliant, great, we'll take this off the market on the proviso that the seller is happy to sell to a mortgage buyer, which I thought was unusual, but apparently that's normal when you're buying a woodland through a mortgage, is that they can turn you down. And as we discovered, it's because the process takes so long. So if you're buying a woodland through a cash purchase, the process usually takes a maximum of 4 weeks. And just to put that into context, for us to go from saying we want to buy the woodland to actually getting the keys to the woodland, it was 18 weeks. So what's that? That's 4 and a bit months. So it was a ridiculous amount of time. So anyway, Woods for Sale came back to us and said, yep, they're happy to proceed. Go get the ball rolling. So that's what we did. We went back to Ecology and said, yes, they have accepted our offer. Can we now start the process? And this is where the fun began. Ecology was so unbelievably slow. I know they're only a small company, so I sort of expected that to some degree, but it was painful. We found that we constantly had to push them for updates. and find out where we're at. And it was quite deep into the process when we said, look, this has been 8 weeks now, I think it was. Where are we at? And it turns out they couldn't find a valuer for the woodland, a surveyor. Because even, like I say, it's very similar to a residential mortgage in the fact that you still have to go through the same process and you have to get a survey of the land. And it just seemed ridiculous in my mind that they offer mortgages on woodlands, but they don't have surveyors on the books to send out. And it got to a point where after 4 more weeks of that, they came back to us and said, do you know any valuers, surveyors? No. So I then had to do my own research and try and find some surveyors that would come out. I think I found one that was willing, but it just so happened that at the same time they Ecology managed to find one as well. And that was that. So we then had to wait for the surveyor to come out. He did his thing. He then filled out his paperwork. And I don't actually have anything against the surveyor because he was actually quick and efficient. Once he finally came onto the plot of land, did his thing and submitted his paperwork, he was pretty quick. But then it was back to Ecology to to do their thing, and once again they were slow. And we even had Woods for Sale chasing us up. We had our solicitor chasing us up, which, for the record, they were amazing. Kirtlington solicitors, they specialise in woodland purchases. So if you ever want to go to, sorry, not Kirtlington, Kilvington solicitors, I think they're based up in Cumbria. They were brilliant, and they were very efficient. As soon as we asked them a question, they came back within minutes rather than hours. So they were very, very good. And again, it was just a pain. It just seemed with Ecology, it just seemed like roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And had there been other competitors out there that offered a similar service, then we probably would have called it quits at that point. Because I'll be honest with you, we got to a point we didn't think we were actually going to end up completing on this because of the lack of surveyor, and we just lost all heart for the process. It very much put a dark shadow over the whole process because we were so excited about buying our own woodland, and then because of the length of time it took, it was just painful. It was just so unbelievably painful. But we got there in the end. I think we even got a sigh of relief message from Woods for Sale as well, that we got there in the end. So, yeah, it's a tough one. There's not really much more to say on it than that, other than if you really want to buy a woodland using a mortgage, yes, it is possible, but like I said, be prepared for roadblocks. Be prepared for it to take a long time. And don't give up. Constantly chase them. Find out what's going on. Find out what else they need from you. Because otherwise it's just not going to make any movement. So another consideration you have to put into your mind when buying a woodland through a mortgage as well is the overall financial implication. So we bought this woodland for £54,500 and we put down a £16,000 deposit, which meant that we borrowed £38,000 on a mortgage, I think it is. Just trying to do mental maths. I don't have my paperwork with me at the moment, so I can't say for certain. And we pay £315 a month, I think it is, as a repayment over 25 years. And the interest rate on that is 10%, I think it is. And when you work it out, you think, brilliant, I'm buying a woodland for £54,500. But then when you look at the amount that you're repaying over the whole length of that mortgage, I think we're paying something ridiculous back, like £98,000. And then when you add on how much deposit you've put on, it suddenly takes that purchase from £54,500 to £110,000. So try and pay it back as quickly as possible. With ecology, you can do early repayment as long as you've been paying for longer than 2 years, which is what we intend to do. So in 2026, we're hoping that we can pay off the remaining balance of the mortgage, because otherwise it's not a good financial investment to do it on a mortgage. And that's the main reason why we're buying this woodland. It's for an investment for my retirement. And if we carry on with the mortgage all the way to term, it's not going to be worth it at all. So do the maths, do your own research, and see if it will work out for you. Because if we carried it on, it's just not. But it was a means to an end for us, and we've got an exit plan as well. So we're not going to be carrying on this payment all for the whole 25 years. So that's it for this video. It's hopefully it's a short and sweet one. Hopefully it hasn't put you off buying a woodland through a mortgage, but from a personal perspective, and I think for my wife as well, even though she didn't have much to do on the administrative side of that, we don't recommend it personally. But it gets your land. So anyway, hopefully the next one will be a bit more interesting than this. This is just a very dry topic that I wanted to get out of the way with. And yeah, see you next time.